The rain had started just as Emily pulled into the gravel driveway of the Silver Maple Inn. Fat droplets pelted the windshield, and she sighed, grateful to have made it before the storm grew worse. The quaint boutique hotel looked like something out of a postcard, warm, inviting, its windows glowing softly against the dreary evening. After the stress of city life, it was exactly the escape she needed. Dragging her suitcase inside, she was greeted by the soothing scent of polished wood and fresh flowers. The lobby was cozy, furnished with vintage armchairs and soft, amber lighting. As she approached the front desk, her phone buzzed, another work email. She silenced it with a huff, determined to unplug, if only for the weekend. Long drive? A voice asked, smooth and casual. Startled, she looked up to see a man standing behind the counter, his sleeves rolled up and a disarming smile on his face. He was tall, with sandy hair and eyes that seemed to hold onto the light. Yeah, Emily replied, forcing a smile. Feels like I've been on the road forever. Welcome to the Silver Maple Inn, he said warmly. I'm Alex. Need help with your bags? Emily hesitated, not used to such personal attention in the sterile hotels she frequented for work. Oh, I've got it, thanks. As he checked her in, they exchanged small talk, weather, the quaintness of the town, her plans to just be for a few days. Alex's voice had a way of making even mundane topics sound intriguing. There's a small restaurant here, he said, handing her the key. We keep it simple, home-cooked meals, nothing fancy. But if you're hungry, I'll make sure you're taken care of. Something about his sincerity caught her off guard. She managed a nod and headed to her room, trying to shake off the strange flutter in her stomach. After freshening up, curiosity drew her downstairs to the restaurant. The space was modest, with mismatched chairs and flickering candles on each table. She found a seat by the window, and within moments, Alex appeared, apron on but that same easy smile lighting up his face. Taking me up on the dinner offer? He asked. Couldn't resist, Emily replied, glancing at the menu. What's good here? He leaned closer, pointing out a few dishes, and she couldn't help but notice how his presence seemed to fill the room. When she finally chose the roast chicken, he gave her an approving nod. As he moved to the kitchen, Emily watched him go, wondering why she suddenly felt so off balance. She'd come here to escape pressure, not to feel her pulse race because of a stranger. But there was something undeniably magnetic about him, something that stirred a longing she hadn't acknowledged in years. By the time dinner arrived, she knew it wasn't just the rustic charm of the inn that was making her feel alive. It was Alex, and the way his gaze lingered just a second longer than necessary when he set her plate down. And deep down, she couldn't help but wonder what would happen if she stopped being so cautious and let herself follow that spark. Emily found herself lingering over dinner longer than expected. The food was delicious, but it was the conversation with Alex that truly kept her seated. Between his frequent visits to her table to refill her glass or check on her meal, their exchange became effortless. Laughter punctuated their words, his playful charm making her feel more at ease than she had in years. So, what brings you to our little town? Alex asked, his tone genuinely curious as he leaned against the chair across from her. Just needed a break from work, honestly, Emily admitted, swirling the last sip of wine in her glass. City life can be suffocating sometimes. I get that, he nodded, his gaze steady and unyielding. Most people who come here are running away from something, even if it's just the noise. She smiled, surprised by his perceptiveness. Exactly. I just wanted some peace. And maybe to figure a few things out. Well, I'd say you came to the right place. His smile softened. Around here, things move a little slower. Gives you time to think. Or, not think at all. Emily's cheeks flushed at the way his words hung between them. Their banter carried an undercurrent of something neither of them seemed ready to fully acknowledge. Before she could respond, a couple at the far end of the room waved Alex over. He excused himself, but not before giving her a glance that spoke of unfinished conversations. As the evening wound down, Emily found herself reluctant to leave the cozy warmth of the restaurant. When Alex finally returned, he surprised her by pulling up a chair instead of simply standing by her table. Done for the night? She asked. Just about, he replied, rubbing his hands together like he was summoning the courage to say something. "I was actually wondering if you'd like some coffee. You know, before you head back to your room." She raised an eyebrow, caught off guard by his sudden hesitation. "Are you always this generous to the guests?" "Only the ones who look like they could use a friend," he said with a playful grin. "Or a distraction." She laughed, the sound breaking through her earlier tension. "All right, coffee sounds good." They ended up by the fireplace in the lounge area, mugs steaming in their hands as they talked. About childhood memories, wild dreams, and the occasional heartbreaks that had shaped them. It was during a comfortable silence, his gaze locked with hers, that he spoke words she hadn't expected. "You know, I feel like I've known you forever. It's strange." Emily's pulse quickened. "Yeah, I feel it, too." Alex's smile faltered for a moment, replaced by something deeper. "I don't want this night to end just yet." His words left her breathless, her mind spinning with the implications. And as her own desires stirred to life, she realized she didn't want the night to end either. They wandered upstairs together, conversation flowing like a river deepened by the night's intimacy. Emily's room felt smaller with Alex standing at the doorway, his expression torn between hesitation and something braver. "Are you sure you want me to come in?" he asked, his voice a low rumble. Emily met his gaze, her pulse quickening. The part of her that usually played it safe was nowhere to be found. Instead, she stepped aside, granting him entry. "I wouldn't have asked if I didn't." The door closed softly behind him, sealing them in their own little world. Alex glanced around, his eyes lingering on the cozy mess of her suitcase spilling over the armchair. He grinned, planning to stay a while. Emily laughed, nerves tumbling free. "Just a weekend. But now, I'm not so sure." Their eyes met, the air thickening with unspoken promises. Alex stepped closer, his fingers brushing her hand before clasping it fully. His touch was both gentle and deliberate, sending warmth coursing through her veins. "I meant what I said earlier," he confessed, his voice softer now, almost vulnerable. "About feeling like I've known you forever. It's unsettling, but also the most natural thing I've ever felt." Emily's throat tightened. "It's not just you," she whispered. "This whole night has been different. Good different." He searched her face, as if confirming she truly meant it. Whatever he found there gave him courage. His hand rose to her cheek, his thumb tracing the curve with such tenderness it left her breathless. "I don't want this to be just some nice conversation we look back on and wish we'd done more with," he said. "I'd rather be reckless than regretful." Before she could reply, his lips met hers, tentative at first, then deepening as their mutual longing took over. Emily surrendered to the moment, letting herself be swept away by the sensation of his arms wrapping around her, holding her like she was something precious. The world outside her room ceased to exist. Hours melted away as they stumbled through desire and discovery, their shared vulnerability making everything feel even more real. They talked and laughed in between kisses, learning each other's edges and soft spots. Eventually, they lay tangled in the sheets, Emily's head resting on Alex's chest, the steady rhythm of his heartbeat soothing her into a blissful calm. "Emily," he murmured, his fingers lazily tracing circles along her arm. "What happens now?" She hesitated, her mind spinning with the possibilities. "I don't know. But I'd like to find out." His answering smile was all she needed to see. The decision had been made somewhere between his first touch and his whispered confessions. Whatever happened next, she was willing to embrace it. And somehow, she knew he was, too. Morning sunlight seeped through the curtains, painting the room in soft golden hues. Emily stirred awake, her body nestled comfortably against Alex's. For a moment, she let herself exist in the warmth of his embrace, the weight of his arm draped over her waist like it belonged there. "Good morning," he murmured, his voice still thick with sleep. "Morning." Emily smiled, her fingers tracing lazy patterns along his forearm. Everything about this felt surreal, as if the night before had been a fragile dream that would dissolve the moment she opened her eyes. But Alex was still there, his presence steady and real. "How do you feel?" he asked, his gaze searching hers with a hint of worry. "Honestly." She laughed softly, a little terrified. but mostly happy. Terrified, he echoed, a lopsided grin tugging at his lips. She sighed, her cheeks flushing. This wasn't part of the plan. I came here to clear my head, not fall head first into whatever this is. Alex nodded slowly, his eyes never leaving hers. I get it. And I didn't exactly expect this to happen either. But I'm glad it did. His sincerity wrapped around her like a warm blanket, easing the tightness in her chest. So, what now? She asked, echoing the question he'd asked the night before. Now, he said, his fingers brushing a stray lock of hair from her face. We see where this goes. If you want to, I mean. The hesitation in his voice surprised her. The confident, charming man from last night was still there, but now she could see the vulnerability beneath his playful exterior. And it only made her like him more. I think I'd like that, she admitted. More than I probably should. He chuckled, his relief evident. Good. Because I wasn't ready to just walk away and pretend this didn't happen. They spent the morning wrapped up in each other, conversation flowing effortlessly between shared glances and gentle touches. Alex talked about how he ended up working at the Silver Maple in how the slow pace of the town helped him rebuild himself after a broken engagement that left him questioning everything. Emily shared pieces of her own story, her high-powered job that never seemed to leave room for a real life. The constant pressure to be perfect. The nagging loneliness she had tried to drown out with work. Maybe that's why we found each other, Alex mused, his tone thoughtful. Two people who needed to step away from everything to find what really matters. Maybe, Emily agreed, her fingers lacing through his. Or maybe we just got lucky. Either way, Alex said, his smile widening, I'm not letting it end here. And for once, Emily didn't feel the urge to argue or overthink. Instead, she let herself believe that something beautiful could come from a chance encounter. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. And for the first time in years, she felt truly alive.